So we're back with take 2 of this game between qeast and Andres here. qeast needing to a bit of a restart at the start there, which actually I sort of called because I thought qeast just made a couple of errors and I think it was going to put him a bit behind here. So kind of in take 2 on Tuderberg Forest here between these players. So qeast already losing 2 tiny and 1 connected rivers game to Andres, so we're just doing a bit of a weird maps show match here. And people are welcome to jump on and come do some more afterwards. Andres getting an early barracks. qeast just going double storehouse for the moment. He's even got hunting dogs. But he's going to see that early barracks from Andres. Andres instantly starting spear production, but for now, he hasn't really seen the hunt. He's about to though. Scout's coming in hot. He was watching, but he's not at the moment. But here we go, he's going to see. So, he is preparing to head across the map and try and deal a bit of damage. qeast is a little bit lucky in the sense that, especially if he kills this deer right here, they're all sort of just inside range of the TC. Even though they are a little bit scattered, so the gather rate's not particularly optimal. They're actually very, very safe. qeast is actually going to send 3 villagers to put up a barracks here. Persia, it's a really easy time of producing units this early on. Spara are 40 food, 10 gold, whereas these guys are 30 and 30, and you know, it's a bit disruptive to have to try and gather gold in age 1, sorry. Andres actually shifting forward on the hunt, really wanting to try and pinch this off qeast at this stage, who's set to lose his scout. Oh no, a bit of tricky micro here. qeast actually placing the storehouse outside, because I think he's looking to try and get a tent here. Otherwise, it'd definitely be a lot safer back here. This way it sort of shields the villagers. It's not completely optimal placement either. He really wants it right here. And then he can even put a house on the side here and actually wall the villagers in somewhat. So it would definitely be very handy for qeast if he can chop through here, because it's not a lot of wood to cut through. Once you sort of get that second TC, a little bit of population rolling, it's quite easy to cut through there. Well, you know, throwing up all your H2 buildings. Still, if Andres can put his forward TC up here on this hunt, or on this gold, or even use it like a big tower on the very edge of this gold mine, outside of range, or just inside of range of qeast TC, it becomes very hard to defend. But Andres can't really afford to fight inside TC range, because it's a very good mass of spears there. I mean, Spara there against the spears. And it's qeast, not Andres, this one, who has the pleasure of being able to heal just by being close to his storehouses. Andres overgathering on stone, but I think he is a little bit ahead here. He's 1 eco pop up, but that's probably down to the ox carts actually. Both our players a little bit food starved at the moment. And qeast actually well over gathering on gold. You really don't need early game gold as Persia. Not this early anyway. Like if you're only making Spara, qeast desperately needs to get to age 2 here. More so than he needs to just crank out more Spara or gather more gold, because he only needs 200 for Spara Champion. And that's sort of the only big gold expense he's going to have if he's going to go for the TC before adding, you know, stables and ranges. I mean, he might want to produce a spearman or 2, but you can even just make Spara in a pinch for the most part. Until you start seeing lancers or big numbers of bowmen. In fact, against small numbers of bowmen, Spara are a better unit than the spears because they've got the pierce armor, and because they are slightly cheaper for a relatively similar amount of health and damage against the bowmen. And same goes with shield bearers for the Babs player actually, in that situation. Like, it's not ideal, especially if you got like 40 bearers up against 40 bowmen. Like, ideally you just want to have lancers up against bowmen, or Asabara up against bowmen instead of the Spara. But, you know, in smaller numbers than that, if you can get on top of the bows before they can actually just start one-shotting a bunch of your bearers or Spara, it's definitely a preferable situation over having mass spears. It's interesting from qeast, it does secure a bit of map control. He could possibly have gone up here actually and really protected that hunt, although Andres isn't quite pressuring this hunt, this gold just yet. But getting this watch post, he probably is. So qeast possibly could have snuck it here actually, because he did have, what's it, 9 spears, 13 Spara. He actually, yeah, qeast could have actually parked his Spara here and put the TC up here, and it gives him access to that gold, this hunt. Allows him to really take back this pocket of the map. Oh, I don't like this for him. He can heal up though, he does have a tent now. But Andres is looking really quite dominant so far in terms of map position. In terms of economy, things are quite similar. He's up 2 eco pop, but that's probably just down to ox carts. We've got a range coming in for qeast. So far it's only the barracks. Oh no, and now a stables for Andres. qeast can look at throwing down a stables of his own now. Has made a bit of a gap here, so he can start getting resources over here, but Andres is already moving this way as well, because if he can strip the land bare here and also keep a bit of an eye on things, he can really start to punish qeast, force him inside range of his town centers. Stables on the way, range finishing up for qeast. Andres now starting a second stables. He's probably going to add a range behind that, or look at adding a third stables and just going for a quick age 3. Trying to get use of the Lancer Champion upgrade. qeast will be probably looking to just try and add stables on top of what he's got so far. That range and that barracks. He wants to bring these bowmen with him though. He wants to take a fight. He does have a good number of the Spara actually. qeast is actually, he looks really good because he's got so much in the queue, but I don't think the population gap, 60 in play versus 55. So he is up a little bit of army here. It's not as drastic as it seems though, because qeast is over queuing, and if he cancels a couple of bowmen he can throw down another stables and range anyway. Probably wants to bring these guys with him, and that's a good number of lancers that we're seeing here from Andres. It was looking a little scary there, but if he can add a whole bunch of them, they can really cut through the Spara. The spears are definitely a much better unit than the Spara against the lancers. It's sort of the opposite to what I was saying about how they interact with range, how they interact with a counter melee, counter infantry cavalry. Definitely the spears are actually going to be a lot more of an even fight there. There's a few bowmen in the mix, so this makes it hard for Andres to take an initial engagement, but he's going to start trying to go for this hunt here, but there was already a pocket of units to defend here for qeast, who's now just pulling the bowman back. A bit of micro there. So right now he's really tearing through that infantry, and he's inside the storehouse range, so he will be getting a bit of healing out. So Andres, this is actually a bit of a rough fight, but he is pumping out plenty of lances at the moment. qeast is in dire need of some gold right now. He's all out of gold for the moment. But he's making a good push, and Andres is having to try and keep the army busy by just keeping the lancers mobile and trying to dive the bowmen at this stage. The Spara do have a bit of snare, but they don't have the bonus damage that the spears have. Though there are a couple of spears in the mix here. Andres adding more and more stables, trying to add his armories in here. The bowmen aren't quite in range at the moment, so things slowing down a little bit. 44 vils to 49 in favour of Andres, and there's not quite a garrison up here to help protect all these villages. qeast's gold income looking a little bit healthier now, but now he's going to struggle for food. He does have plenty of wood to add some farms. There is probably a hunt here and probably here, but the guys I don't think have actually scouted it out, so neither of them are going to make use of that just yet. Andres having to back off, and now qeast is back on top of the hunt. So we've got a lot of lances here. qeast really just needs only spears, no Spara at this stage. Well, this might be a good catch here for Andres. qeast isn't paying attention, so Andres will be able to kill a villager or two. We'll get a villager. Two, actually. And now this is a good comp for qeast. He's got just about only spears in the melee. He does have some bowmen to support. Does have a couple of Asabara just to tank lancers. That's a scary number of lancers here from Andres. And he is slightly up on pop in play at 91 to 67. So qeast having to retreat a little bit. A lot of low lancers though, and there's no pharmacology tech yet for Andres, but he is getting double armory upgrades behind this. qeast is banking a lot of wood, but he really needs to throw down farms at the moment. He can go for 21 farms, but he just hasn't started. Like, he could have transitioned bit by bit by now, and he wouldn't be in such a dire spot where his production's in a bit of a lull, and now there's 20 lancers in his base. Andres might have definitely overwhelmed qeast here, because it was looking pretty scary for Andres in some of these earlier fights. Probably the closest game yet between these two players. There is a good number of bowmen, so this is going to mean the lancers can't really stick around. But there is not a great deal of spears here. And on top of that, our Persia player is a little bit further away from age 3 than our bad player, I think. They've both got horrible banks of 1 or 2 resources and not enough of others, but they can correct that. They can get their ecos going again. They can start taking a few more eco techs, particularly qeast. There's probably doesn't actually need to get any more in that regard at the moment. He's getting picker's gloves. Doesn't really need plow considering he's got more map control, so he doesn't need to transition to farms yet. But qeast, there is a hunt here, and you could be pushing Andres off this one. Stables inside range of the TC there, so it may eventually go down. But Andres, going for age 3, can already afford Lancer Champion, so this is the spot to be in. He's up on population. Gonna be a nice little pick off here. Already up on eco, 63 to 44. qeast hasn't been able to afford double villager production as well as spamming all his spearmen. But again, he did have a bit of a delayed start to his farm transition here. While it is expensive and puts you behind, I think he did have the opportunity to sort of take some good fights, but wasn't gathering and spending all that, well, as well as Andres in that regard. And now that he's got pharmacology, once he backs out of fights, he actually really starts to undo damage being done by... Sorry, sneezed my head off then. By qeast here. So it puts him on even footing with the healing, because qeast has obviously got the aid 10 upgrade there. Got Lancers. Got a champion upgrade just yet? Yes, we do. So champion and purebred on the way. Purebred really only useful for a little bit of speed, particularly once you're already snared. But not a great combat stat. But it does mean if Andres does get to age 4, he does have access to a stables technology that does give him fighting stats. He's just making more and more spears at this point. He's got 35, but there is 38 lances and a couple of chariots. There is plenty of bowmen here for qeast as well. But has he got enough to hold on? He doesn't have any armory upgrades, while Andres has all of his Age 2 upgrades. It's looking rough. The chariots have got nothing attacking them just yet, but well, the Lancer counts to what, 25? He's still got 19 spears, but his bowman ball's been thinned out now, so things are going to start to get a bit more lopsided here. Especially with new Lancers coming in and using their charge. More chariots as well. Not going to be great for sieging without Andres getting even more Lancers though, but there's not much army left here for qeast. I think the armory upgrades are what kind of ended up making the difference there. There's actually a good massive range for qeast behind the melee there, so I think it was a relatively even composition for our players. With no armory and no Age 3 upgrades, obviously Andres going in with a bit more of an advantage there because you get the added extra damage against cavalry for the spears as well. I think this might be it for qeast because there is now siege towers here for Andres, and it's going to be hard to take them down because there is so much range here to kill off villagers or infantry trying to snipe them. So Andres able to take control this one, and GG makes it a 4P.